Walked out of work in the middle of a training exercise.
So I work in an industrial setting. Fairly automated. But my job is to control the system's automation and how they work together with each other. So the other day, my trainer, supervisor decides to start a train exercise. Starting up an area that wasn't running. A half hour before my 12-hour shift was set to end. 25 minutes later, we're barely halfway though, and I ask my trainer if they're going to pay me overtime to stay late. Union gig. He says it's not really up to him. So he tried to get a hold of my actual manager. Had it been my old boss, I would have just stayed, and I know he would have made me whole. But my new boss seems to be on a bit of a power trip lately. She has made a huge stink about me and others not wanting to cover overtime shifts on our weekends. It's our right to refuse that work, and we don't owe the company anything.
So as you probably guessed,
I just left when my regular shift was set to end. The following day, my boss was quite peeved. I told her this is where I work, not volunteer. Good on you.
Happened with me too when I was working at the bank.
Was told I need to help out a branch that was an hour away from my normal branch. Asked my then manager if they will cover the extra travel and was told yes. Second day working, I called and asked her how I can submit my travel expenses, and she laughed, saying I'm a full-time employee and don't get extra travel. Told her that wasn't what you told me before, and she said, "Oh well, I was wrong." Fine, make a call to the union, and got the union person to personally call her. 15 minutes.
I got the travel claim form emailed to my email address.
Fuck you, Vicky. She didn't plan ahead for this, respond to last-minute communication, or even leave the impression they'd pay you for your time. Then she got upset you didn't voluntarily work extra time for free. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this will not be a great place to work.
I hope I'm wrong, but I wouldn't turn down any interviews if I were you.
This is where I work, not volunteer. Chef kiss. It's funny how much they want you to be invested in your job. But when it comes time for them to be invested in you, it's a different story. I love it lol. I did the same. I was working straight days for some maintenance planning, and my hours were 7 to 3:30 unpaid. Lunches. Boss says to me no more OT. Management love having meetings from 3 to 4 to maximize their time.
15 minutes into the meeting, I grab my stuff and leave.
They asked where I am going. I said I swipe out at 3:30. Have a nice day. OT came back quick lol. We work to live, not live to work. Seriously, if the company is not going to pay you, you're not a free labor machine. At the end of the day, if I'm not being paid overtime, I'm not going to drop something heavy or valuable directly on someone's foot or right where I
stand.
I'll safely stop what I'm doing. But if you think I'm going to work more than a minute off the clock, you're absolutely out of your mind. Ha! I also work in a union shop and have been asked to do something 10 minutes before my shift ends, but will take 30 minutes. I'll explain that I don't want to work over, so I'll start the task but will stop when my shift ends. And they can figure out what's left to do, or they can wait for my counterpart on the next shift. There's pros and cons to being part of a union, but that's one trait that I really appreciate. Plus, what if OP couldn't stay late due to a prior commitment? Starting this exercise that late in the day was poor planning at best. This is where I work, not volunteer. Definitely keeping that. This is where I work, not where I volunteer, is a big mood, and something they should teach in high school. Damn man, you are a god for that line you chirped.
Sometimes I wish that I had worked in unionized industries to be able to have that kind of
confidence to lay into a boss like that.
I don't have this problem.
The boss just signs to roster off at the end of the week and hopes we're not taking the piss. The only time he has pulled me up was when we did a 22-hour shift. Got a call 2 hours before the end of our shift to go to a recovery. Turns out the night shift didn't have enough qualified staff on, so we volunteered to stay on until we were finished. A nice 12 hours overtime. Paid for the following day's 10-hour shift. Even though we obviously didn't go in and then off that night. Can't leave in the middle of a recovery. Or certainly not for a whole shift. Just makes you wonder of how people like that manager actually get into that position.
Loved your response to her.
What you should have said? Could you really not just put this in an email? This is where I work, not volunteer. Amen, brother. This is where I work by where I volunteer. Boss move. Trying that shit on non-union employees is scum. Trying it on union is just stupid. At my workplace we won overtime. It's 2x pay. But if they offer it Friday afternoon, we say no on principle. Crew rule is before clock out on Wednesday and not a second later.
How else are you supposed to plan your life?
This is where I work, not volunteer. Fucking love it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.